Hi guys, welcome to my AWS Checkpoint Firewall deployment demo. In this video, I'm going to set up a Checkpoint Firewall in a single VPC in AWS to protect a single subnet. This is a simplified deployment to show you the underlying concepts only. In front of me is a network diagram that I'll be working with. I've created the VPC in my AWS account. I've also created two subnets, an outside subnet and an inside subnet. My checkpoint firewall, we have an interface in the outside subnet and another interface will be sitting in the inside subnet. In the same inside subnet, I will have an EC2 instance which I've already launched. The firewall will be protecting the instance from the internet. Here is the flow. Traffic from the internet will come, hit the internet gateway. By use of the internet gateway, traffic is going to be directed to the outside interface of the checkpoint firewall. The firewall will process the traffic, and after processing, it will either allow it to reach the instance or deny it from reaching the instance. If you have worked with checkpoint firewall before, you know that the architecture is like this. You have the firewall which processes the rules, and you have the management station where your rules are sitting and they only be applied to the firewall when you push a policy. In my demo, I'm going to install two instances. One will be the firewall, one will be the management station. The management station can either be on-premise or any of the subnets within the VPC. For simplicity, I'm going to set up the management station to have an interface in the outside subnet. As far as routing is concerned, the IGW route table will direct all traffic destined to 192.168.15 to go via the outside interface of the firewall. Just take note of my typo here. This was supposed to be 192.168.15.0/24 since my instance is 192.168.15.119. The route table of the outside subnet will send its default traffic to the internet gateway back to internet. And the route table of the inside subnet will send all default traffic to the ENI, the inside interface of the firewall. Let's jump into my AWS console. You can see I've got two VPCs here. This is a default VPC. I'm not going to be using that. I created a new VPC, checkpoint protected VPC, with the CIDR 192.168.0.0/16. I also created subnets. One subnet, checkpoint outside. The next subnet, checkpoint inside. I also created different route tables. Checkpoint outside will be associated with checkpoint outside subnet. Then the route table, checkpoint inside, will also be associated with the inside subnet. Then I've got the internet gateway route table, which is the ingress route table, which I haven't associated with anything at the moment. I did this intentional so that I can show you that if you want to associate it with internet gateway, you just go edge associations, edit, then you select internet gateway. But at the moment, I will leave this not associated. The reason I want to connect in a normal way, just via my internet gateway, because I don't have a checkpoint in between. I'll be doing this step when I want to force traffic via the checkpoint firewall. Now, let's go to EC2. There, we'll start to launch our firewall management station. In order to do that, select running instances, go to launch instance. Remember, checkpoint is also called CloudGuard when it's protecting the cloud environment. So you can either search by keyword checkpoint or CloudGuard, right? You can see I've got free tier here, but I'm not going to use free tier. I'm going to select bring your own license. Bring your own license can also give a 15-day trial. You will see that after my launch. So select CloudGuard, bring your own license. Take note of how you'll be billed here. No software charges because it's a bring your own license selection. But you'll be charged for EC2 per hour, $0.127 per hour. If I choose M5 large, M5 extra large, and so forth, the prices are not the same. Then go next. You can see the recommended is M5 X large. However, I'm not going to take this option since this is just a demo. I'll select M5 large. I go next, instance details. Here I select the VPC that I want to work with. My first subnet must be the outside subnet. That's my primary interface. That's why I select it first. Since this is a management station, it's just going to have one interface, which I want to be on the outside subnet. If it was the firewall, I was going to add an additional interface on the inside subnet. So I can go next step, next, then go to tags. On the tags, I'm going to label my instance name. Make sure you put a capital N when you put name. If you put a small n, it will not show in the description. Checkpoint, you give the name of your choice here, checkpoint management. That will make it easy to identify. Go next, security groups. Take note, the security group is auto-populated for you with the required services. I can also rename this. Let me say checkpoint, SGRP. Then review and launch. We wait for our management station to launch. First, it undergoes the subscription process. Then it initiates the launch. As you can see, subscribing to the product. Sometimes you notice an error on this stage, but you don't have to worry. Your instance will still launch. There's a slight delay on subscription and launch that causes that error. You can see our instance is now launching. Whilst this is happening, it will take a while. If you look here, you can see that our management station is fully launched. I will log on to it. To log on to the management station, select connect. You don't need to use this user root. We change that to admin. So we go select this part. I'll change that to admin. Go into my SSH session. Change this to admin. Put my key here. Right. So the first step that you need to do is to change the admin password. Then you put your new password. You remember to save your config. Save config. This will allow you to log on to the browser because the browser will require you to put an admin, user, and password. I can close this. Second step, we know this has been assigned a public IP. Public IP is changed if an instance reboots. During the setup process, the instance is going to reboot. We'll lose our public IP. It will change. So the best is to have an elastic IP which does not change. So we'll go for it. Under EC2, allocate. Now we've got this elastic IP. We associate it with the instance. This is my management associate. Go back. Our next step will be to browse to the new IP, the elastic IP that we've just assigned. You will get a certificate error because this is a self-signed certificate. You put your user, the new password that we've created, Go with the wizard. Change your time zone. Now, since we're installing a management station, we deselect security gateway. I'm going to use the same admin password for my Smart Console. Smart Console is the application which you use to connect to the management station. And the same admin password is going to be used for SSH. That's the guy administrator. You can restrict which IPs connect to your management station here. I'll leave it with any. Then you let it go. Whilst this process runs, we go back. I'll launch a new instance. Search for it. CloudGuard. Select the same. Go next. Okay, next. My VPC. Take note what I'm going to do here. First subnet is the outside subnet. Go down, add a new interface here, add a new device. Then you select the inside. Now you've got two interfaces on your checkpoint. Then you'll be notified we can no longer assign a public address to your instance because you've got two interfaces. It's not a problem. We're going to assign an elastic IP. Review. I can go previous. I want to name it again. Okay, I think I missed that part, but it doesn't matter. I can still name it when it's launched. Security group auto-populated. I want to change this security group just to use the same one that we've created in the previous session. So select an existing one. I'll select checkpoint SGRIP. I want to know I'm working with the same security group. Review. Then launch. Click our instance to see progress. Deselect this to see all. Let me give it a name here. Checkpoint. This is the gateway, the actual firewall, not gateway. Give it time to initialize. Whilst that is happening, we'll proceed to check our wizard for the management station. I think I can pause this video a little bit to give it time to finish. In fact, whilst our processes are running, let me show you one more thing about licensing here. Go to my party session, put my management station, admin at this, go to my certificate, login. If you do CP print, you can see you've got 15 days to run this product. So you've got 15 days to try this product. That's one good thing about Checkpoint. It gives you time to try, to learn. If you love it, you can go for it. Our gateway is fully installed. Let's go for additional steps. First step, we need to give it an elastic IP. Go allocate. So we've got this new free IP that we need to allocate to our firewall device. But take note, once you've got two interfaces, you cannot allocate by instance ID. I'll show you that. If you go associate, elastic IP, instance, you cannot just do this. It will tell you you've got more than one interface. So we need to have an interface ID. Okay, cancel there. Go back to our instances, go to our gateway, networking, scroll down. This is my primary interface, which is facing the internet. Copy the instance ID here. Go back to EC2, elastic IPs, select, associate, network interface, put the interface here, select it, associate. That's how it works. Then go back. Let me just refresh here. I'm seeing a 0. I know it should be 2. It should be 2 like this. Okay, that looks better. Right. After associating the elastic IP with the firewall, we need to do a source and destination check disable. I will show you what I mean. Running instances. Our firewall has got two interfaces. If a firewall is going to route traffic that is coming from other networks, it needs to have the source and destination check disabled, otherwise routing will not work. So we double click here, our interface, source, destination check, deselect this part. The same applies to the inside interface. And let's go back to it. Networking. You can do it from interfaces, you can do it from, as long as you are doing on the right interface. This is the second interface. Select it again. Actions, source, destination check, disabled. If you forget this part, no routing will work through your firewall. Right, time to connect to our firewall. Same as before, we need to SSH to it first. Our elastic IP is this one. Copy the elastic IP, party session, admin. You can only SSH with your private key. Password authentication is disabled via SSH. Right, our step, set user, admin, password. You can tab. If you can't remember the command, you can tab, just like any device, Cisco and the like. Remember to save. If you don't, once it reboots, you lose that. Right. Let's check our management. Our management station wizard is done. Then it reboots. Whilst that is happening, the reboot is happened already. Okay, sorry for that. Let's initiate the firewall wizard. Then we'll come back to the management session. Let's initiate the firewall wizard. Then we go back to the management station whilst the wizard is running. Put our username. This is our first time wizard for the firewall. Right. We follow the wizard. The second interface you just ignore. You see that it will populate it by itself. We can label this firewall if you want. You put your region. I'm putting Johannesburg. Here we go. Now, this time around, we deselect the management station because this is our gateway. If there were two, we would select the cluster, but we are going to skip this deployment symbol. In the cloud, the way you do a cluster on-premise is different from the way you do it in the cloud. You will see later, but for now, let's focus on these basics, then we grow from there. Activation key. The key that we're going to put here is for your SIC. For those who've worked with Checkpoint, they know secure internal communication. This allows the firewall to trust a specific management station. Otherwise, any rogue management station will just communicate with the firewall and push rogue policies there. So you put this key here. You need to remember the key. It's a kind of a password. You need to remember it. If you forget about it, you can reset it again. It's not a big deal. You are going to use this when you set up the communication between the manager and the firewall in the Smart Console dashboard. Then we let it go. Right, back to our management station. For those who have not worked with Checkpoint before, you simply need to click this download to get your software application that you use to manage the management station in order to be able to put rules on the manager, push policies onto the firewall. I'm going to cancel this because I already downloaded this in my previous installation. It's an exe file. Once you download, you just double click next, 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 then you have it installed. Check my wizard here, still going. Right, so let's go to the Smart Console application, R81. Once you install that downloaded software, you have an icon like this. Open that icon. Right. You choose the IP of your management station. In this case, this is 131.3.244. By the time I release this video, these IPs will be normal. So don't have to worry. You go log in. Sometimes this process can take a while. It's only that we have given it time. I was doing other things, but it can take a while. You can have errors. If you get an error, don't despair. Just wait. You try again. First time login, it might take time. The services needs to start. So what we are doing here with our Smart Console, we are logging into this management station to be able to add rules the time we need to add rules. So our management session is ready. Here you can put your policies. I want to make sure that when I push my policy, I won't be cut off. So I'll add a rule here to allow and to log. This is like a deny all rule. Anything that is not defined, I want to have logs. Okay, my cleanup rule is vice versa. I want to, okay, let me cut this rule. Paste it above. Okay, so I want my cleanup rule to be below. Oh, okay. Then I need this one to be a drop, this one to be an accept. Basically, what I want to do here, I want to allow any traffic to the gateway so that I don't lose connection when I'm managing the firewall. I've done that before in my installation and it can waste a bit of time. So as it is, I don't have a firewall. So I don't have anywhere to push this policy. Once the firewall installation is done, I'll just put a publish here. I need to sync this management station with the firewall. Then I will have a firewall object. Because right now, if I go under gateways, I only have the management station. So that's another part which I will need to demonstrate to you once the installation is done. Let me check the progress of our wizard here. Okay, our firewall installation is completed. Accept for it to reboot. The firewall is rebooted. Let's log in to see what's in place there. Admin. Like I told you before, you've got one interface, which is the outside interface. That Ethernet one was auto-allocated. We didn't need to do anything. You can also check your routing here. The default route is the next hop gateway in the subnet, which is 0.1. It just pulls it from the DHCP options. The DHCP options that are set within AWS. So for now, let's go back to our console. Remember, we did set a SIC password. So this is the time to make our management station talk to the gateway. In order to do that, we go gateways. You go here, select network object, gateways and servers. That we are going to have an additional gateway here. Right, gateways and servers, then we choose gateway. You can either use classic or you can use wizard. It's up to you. Right. Here you need to put the name of the gateway. I can just say firewall 1. You need to put its IP address here. Oh guys, I think here it must be. All right. See, I did not select the firewall. Yeah, let me see. That must be the problem. The firewall bled. Okay. Go for it. Go for it. Let's see. Right now, after selecting the firewall bled, get my interfaces with the topology again. That was my bad. I forgot to do the most important thing, select the firewall blade, because we want this to work as a firewall. I've just forgot to do that. And then accept. Now our manager is aware of the external and the internal interface of the firewall. This is where you set your anti-spoofing. You can either set it to prevent or you can either set it to log. Let's see an advanced setting here. That should be fine. Just one more. Yeah, that looks right. Right, accept that. Go back to my rules. So I wanted to make sure I won't disconnect myself. by a restrictive policy. So my destination here, my firewall node, I can select the manager is not now aware of the firewall node. So I'm allowing any traffic that is destined to the firewall node because I want to make sure I won't lose management access to it. Then I want to put an additional rule below here. Not a section. Okay, this can be, okay, let me put a rule, not a section. Add new rule below. My new rule, I want to allow access to my instance. So if we go back to my diagram here, this is the instance that I'm talking about, 192.168.15.119. So I can create a new node here. New host EC2 192.168.15.119. This is the name. Take the IP. Okay. Remove the EC2 part. 119. Accept that. Allow. Right. Let's say I just want to allow SSH to it. SSH. Okay. So once this is done, I need to push my policy. First, I publish that policy. Then install my policy. Install. Right. The firewall is ready with the policies running, but we still need to modify our routing according to our network diagram. So let me show you the first step. We are saying traffic from the outside interface. The subnet on the outside must route default traffic to the internet gateway. So let's verify each step. We go to our EC2, our routing tables, go VPC, routing tables. So this is our outside interface. Default traffic must go to the internet gateway, which is okay. That is fine. Then our inside route table. I'm going to edit this one. We are going to remove the internet gateway and we are going to remove this route. It was for some VPN testing that I was doing between a checkpoint and a AWS. In my future video, I'll be showing you how to set up VPN between a checkpoint firewall and the AWS. So I decided, let me first do the checkpoint on its own, the deployment, so that those who are interested in doing the lab can also follow along. Right. I'll need to put a firewall interface here. So before I do that, I'll save these routes. Let's go to the firewall interface, the internal interface of the firewall. Go to the gateway, under networking. This is the external interface. But what we need is the internal interface. I copy the internal interface ID. Go back to my internal route table. Checkpoint inside routes, edit the route. So we are saying when my instance wants to talk to the internet, it must not go via the internet gateway. It needs to go to the checkpoint firewall, which is this ENI. Then you save. All right. Now, ingress route table. Let's associate it with the internet gateway, edge associations. Select the internet gateway. Save. So we go to our route table. Same thing. We need traffic moving from the internet gateway to go to the checkpoint, but this time we need to push it to the external interface of the checkpoint. So let's cancel that. We check our external interface of the checkpoint again. Gateway, networking, scroll down, select the interface ID. Then go back, route tables, go to our ingress route table. My instance is in the network 192.168.150.0/24. Traffic must be, instead of traffic moving from the internet gateway straight to the subnet. So what we are applying is the ingress routing that was introduced by AWS in December 2019. We put our interface ID, save. Basically, your NAT is happening on the internet gateway. Then when traffic comes here, there's no NAT at all. It's private IPs getting to the checkpoint. We'll see that we'll check our logs on the checkpoint firewall. Right, so what we have now, that looks complete. We have amended our route table here to a 1.5 to send traffic to the external interface of the checkpoint. We've got our management station pushing policies here. We've got our route table on the outside interface sending back to the internet gateway. Then we have got our inside interface sending traffic back via the checkpoint firewall. Right. That might be time to test. In our checkpoint, let's go to logs and monitor. Before I do any connection, I want to go to logs. Right, let me put the IP address of my instance here. 168.1.15.167, I think. No, .119. .119. Okay. At the moment, you see there are no hits at all. No traffic is coming there. If I go to my policy, I want to make sure I put the right IP. Okay, 15.119. Okay, that's fine. Right. So what I'm going to do next is to go to EC2 to check the public IP of this instance. My protected instance, this is the public IP. So I go for it. In my party session, I want to see if I can SSH to this instance after removing the internet gateway, and if I can see traffic on the firewall. Okay, you see, my connection went through, but this is just a wrong user. That's why I just refused, but I can do it properly. I know the user. Let me do it again. It's an Ubuntu server. So Ubuntu. I'm logged onto the instance. To verify that this traffic is going via the firewall, go to our logs again. me refresh. Why is that happening? 192.168.1.5.119. Let me check if I'm logging this traffic. Okay, I'm not logging this traffic. I'll do it one more time. I need to push this policy. But even though I was not logging, whilst I'm pushing the policy, we can go to the firewall and do a TCP dump. Where is my firewall? Yeah, it's this puppy. Admin. But that won't be very clear. But let's see. Set expert password. If need be, we can use that. But since I've enabled logging, we should be able to see it in the console. That will be far much better. I'm just saving in case I want to use TCP dump and stuff. Right, so let's go for it again. My logs. Before I do anything, right, let me just duplicate this connection. Duplicate connection. My logs again. One 192.168.1.119. Just do a TCP dump in case something is missing here. Expect. So I'm on the firewall console here, on the firewall SSH, TCP dump -NIN host 192.168.1.5.119. Let's see what happens if I duplicate this session. See, you can see traffic is coming to the firewall. I want to see why it's not logging, because you see this is my public IP going to the instance. Traffic is going to the firewall. However, why am I not seeing the logs? Although I'm not seeing the logs on the actual console, we can do one more test. Let's go to the policy here and make a drop on SSH. Let's see if that will kill our SSH session. If that works, then I'll check why the log is not working. Right, let's push the policy. Right, let me try to make a new session. See, the SSH is failing. Then we can also go on the firewall. I'm interested to see if I can't see even this drop. The drop, I can see it. You see the firewall is dropping that connection here. But for some reason, the allowed traffic is not logging, but the dropped traffic is logging. So you can see traffic destined to the EC2 instance with 119 is not allowed by the firewall. I hope this has given you a picture on how you can deploy a checkpoint firewall in AWS. So basically what is happening here, traffic internet gateway, outside subnet, checkpoint firewall, then EC2, back via the same path. With this kind of deployment, then you can control your policies, you can do your intrusion prevention, the same stuff that you've been doing on the on-premise. I will be showing you a video on VPNs at some stage. But remember, if you were following along, or if you decide to follow along in doing this lab, make sure you also stop your instances to avoid unnecessary charges. After stopping the instance is not enough, you need to cancel your subscription. I'll show you. Let's go to the EC2. So the first stage, select your instances, make sure you terminate them. Otherwise, you will pay. If you forget to, so terminating is not enough, since if you terminate, not every time you subscribe to be new, it's safe to stop the subscription. How do you do that? Once your instances are terminated, you need to stop the subscription. Let me refresh. I want to make sure it's terminated, then I do it the right way. Anyway, I can still show you. So you go to your services here, you look for subscriptions, marketplace subscriptions. Don't ever forget this step. Right, on the manage subscriptions here, you need to go cancel subscription. You also get a warning: canceling your subscription does not terminate all your running instances. You continue to be billed for all running instances until they are terminated. Then you choose. I just want to cancel once instances are terminated. Let me check. That I will do at a later stage. Thank you. See you again in the forthcoming videos.